Morning, everybody. It sounds very grand, doesn't it? Morning, everybody. Like, I'm assuming I'm talking to lots of people. I could be talking to nobody but myself. So, just good morning. I'm actually out on a walk. It's quite frosty. That is usually a massive field, but obviously, well, I say obviously, it was only 24 hours of rain, and the water table's gone bonkers. We've been flooded 3 times, so I would call myself a bit of an expert actually on rain levels, water tables, because I'm very, very vigilant. And generally, the kind of rain we had the other day, we'd need to have that for 2 or 3 weeks before my water table would come right up, and before this is a floodplain here, this would look like this, and now it happens in 24 hours. So there is clearly something happening on really quite a big scale actually, because to only have 24 hours of rain and to already see floods, yeah, it does worry me. Anyway, waffling on a bit off topic, so more on, I guess, I mean, I say menopause, but I think really these are more about just life. So for anybody who might be sat at home or at work or anywhere, beating themselves up, having a rough day, this is my first walk in a while. I have not been walking consistently. This is something I used to do a lot, and was very much mental support as well as physical. And I would say the last 12 to 18 months, my ability to get off my arse and engage and do stuff, just even in a basic routine, is actually quite difficult. I have really significant, or I've been having the most chronic fatigue probably since the early days of my menopause, before I discovered wonderful HRT. So I haven't vlogged for a few weeks because I just haven't had the willpower, the inclination. I haven't really had anything meaningful to say. I think the best way I would describe it is hibernating. I've been sleeping enormous amounts, sleeping all night and significant amounts in the day. A few months ago I took a break from work, thinking that maybe I was getting burnout from the kind of work I do, which is a sole midwife. End of life care can be quite intense. I'm going to have to walk back because I'm flooded, so I can't go on my circular route. So I'm just going to walk up and down. Yeah, so a few months back I took some time out of work, thinking that I was mentally and physically just exhausted, and actually more emotionally exhausted, because supporting people at end of life on one hand is a huge privilege and a very beautiful experience, but you know, it's also really fucking sad. There's no point pretending it isn't. However, my tiredness seemed to get worse actually, and if you were to ask me right now, I'm not actually sure I could hold down, certainly not a full-time job. And I think I've psychologically had to do quite a lot of work in embracing my reality and actually being grateful for it. So it's, you know, I don't need to work. My career was wonderful while it was happening. I look back, and that ambitious, hugely energetic girl, she does look like a girl to me compared to where I am now. It's not where I am anymore. And certainly one of the things that's helped me enormously is to stop being embarrassed and ashamed of actually my really liberating and wonderful situation, which is, you know, I can choose whether to work or not, because I don't have the financial pressure to have to work. So I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I've decided I'm going to stop apologising and almost martyring myself and thinking, well, you know, I'm so blessed, therefore I have to do something. I can't just, you know, can't just be a homemaker. I can't just go to yoga. I can't just, you know, the narrative in my head is do nothing. But I'm not doing nothing. Spend a huge amount of time thinking, actually. So one of the big benefits of the fatigue, I'm not sat there watching movies all day or anything. Can't be bothered, not interested. I actually just like the silence and the solitude. And once I started kind of losing the narrative of this is really bad and just accepting it, because actually some days over the last few weeks, well, I've got into this routine. Sorry, I don't know if I'm waffling a bit here. I've got into this routine which I've been in now for about 18 months, is no matter what, every afternoon or tea time, you know, I have a minimum of 30 to 40 minutes lay down, because our menopause consultant is quite strict about this, is our nervous system, so our adrenaline, our nervous systems is all part of our hormone cycle, and I think it's particularly prevalent in the world that we're living in today. Sorry, I know this probably looks a bit weird, I'm just walking up and down the line, but there's that much flood water, I don't really have much choice. So, you know, in today's world, our adrenaline system is just so stressed out, and every time I speak to somebody, it absolutely just confirms that for me. It's never switched off. It's like having an immersion heater on all the time, and, you know, it's just churning away and using your electricity. And it doesn't, you know, most of us might think that we're getting the right sleep, but we're not sure we are. So having this 30 to 40 minutes actually laying down, because apparently our you know, adrenaline system needs to basically fill itself up every 4 hours, and you have to be laying down in order for that to happen. And I just play some really soothing Reiki music in the background, and it's beautiful. It's a really lovely thing to do. I know it's not possible for everybody to do, but even if you could do it at the end of the day, when you finished your working day, I think there's something really important. But of course, you know, the way our lives, people's lives are, you know, most people by the end of the day, if they've been out working all day, then have shitloads to do in terms of getting the dinner ready, or putting a wash on, or doing some shopping, or paying some bills, or whatever it is. So I'm more and more becoming convinced that this isn't just about the menopause. The menopause is being amplified and being turned into a massively debilitating rather than transitional phase. I think I've said this many times, because of the way we are being forced to live our lives. And I've got this real ability and choice and liberation to have stepped out of the rat race, because I had the ability to do that. So I didn't have to push through and keep flogging myself, because you know, the bills are going to be paid whether I'm at work or not. That's the bottom line for me. So, but it does, as I stand back and reflect on it, it really does seem to me that every single person I speak to, every single person without failure, predominantly women, will all say the same. No matter what age, no matter how their menopause is going, they're just really struggling with the constant bombardment and to-do list, and feeling anxious, and the pressure, and just the loss of simplicity in the way we live our life. And I think that is a really big conversation, and I think it's really important not to miss that big conversation and set the context, because we can't expect our medical professionals to be God. There is only so much they can do with modern day medicine. I honestly, the more I read, and that is something I do a lot, I read and I listen a lot, because I spend a huge amount of time, most of my days I spend on my own when everybody's left in the morning, and I'm not interested in binge watching stuff. I find that really quite toxic on my head in the day. So I have had this opportunity to read and learn, and the more I do, the more I'm convinced that the way we're living our lives is making us really ill. It's making us really ill, and everybody I speak to, it's very, very prevalent. So back to kind of the core thing, in terms of the menopause context. So I have a HRT implant, which some of you may or may not know. It's not available on the NHS. It is something I have done privately with a gynaecologist. Mine lasts around 4 months. You just get blood tests to tell me where it is, but I get the symptoms. I know when it's run out. Works really well. I really like the HRT implant because it bypasses the liver. It's not processed by your liver, so it's kind of, for me, and there's no one right fit for everybody, because for years I was on a HRT patch and I thought they were brilliant, but my liver just started rejecting them in the end because I was on them too long. So that works really well, but even the latest results showed that my estrogen, my testosterone, my insulin, my liver function, my kidney function, everything was tickety-boo, yet I still have this progressively getting worse chronic tiredness. So for example, one of the things I started, and I go with my husband twice a week, is resistance training. I absolutely have to have a nap before I would go to the gym, and I'm not at work all day either. And the thing that has been steadily declining on my blood results has been my thyroid and the level of thyroxine, which has been far too low. So that has been going on for about 18 months. It has been steadily declining, and on my last visit with my consultant, it is now below the lowest of low on the guidelines of what it should be. So I have started taking something called thyroxine, which is basically I'm putting thyroxine into my body. It's a chemical pharmaceutical support. I've been on really low doses. I went up to a higher dose this week because you ramp it up steadily, because otherwise it's not the easiest of medications I've found. Is it that? Is it that it was just time? Is it a book I've just read, can't remember the name, I will put the link in the comments. It's a new book out, and it's about kind of mindful changes, written by Dr Chatteree, somebody or other. He's a really lovely writer. And what I really like about the book is he's a GP. He's also quite a kind of big wellness guru expert. What I loved about him is just how realistic he is, and he basically says, look, there's shitloads of role models out there, there's shitloads of advice out there, and you've just got to take the stuff that lands for you and ignore the rest. Some of my stuff might land, some of it might not do. Stop beating yourself up. Just stop beating yourself up, because his years of medical practice, he says even something as basic as one type of eating will work for one person, not another. So I'm just going to walk past this week, there's the dog there, so I don't want Panda to get Panda, come on. So, and he just there's something really powerful about his book, in terms of just doing the small things. and just being kind to yourself. So I'm out today walking with Panda down the river. I haven't been down here months, not in months. Haven't had a shower yet. I'm actually still in a old nightie with my Wellingtons on. And I just got the desire. I used to get this desire every day to be out in nature and do this. So I don't know whether it's some rewiring in my brain based on this book I'm reading. I don't know. I read many books. Whether it was just time, whether I've just been hibernating because it's such a beautiful frosty day. And actually one of the big things he talks about in the book is just doing one thing per day that gets you out of your comfort zone, because as humans we're actually made for two things: to be anxious and uncomfortable. Because if you go back to our caveman days, anxiety was a thing that saved us, because it was perfectly normal to be anxious that a saber-toothed tiger might come and eat you in the night. So anxiety was a really healthy thing that we used to have, which kept us alive, and our life was uncomfortable, because even just something as simple as making food meant you had to collect firewood, you had to go and, you know, kill something to eat or forage, so everything was uncomfortable. But now everything in our life is very, very comfortable. And so this absence of discomfort in our lives has meant that our ability to cope with adversity and our level of resilience has vastly reduced, which has meant that our anxiety has gone through the roof, because we've become very anxious about things that we don't actually need to be anxious about. And that has been and continues to be one of the most, along with the tiredness and anxiety, if I've got to name the top two things that have been defining parts of my menopause, those two things. And it just really made sense to me. It's like, so actually if you can do one thing each day, it just gets you a little bit out of your comfort zone. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. So for example, I've got don't worry, it's not some posh beautiful in-ground swimming pool, it's just an above ground swimming pool with a filter on, but I decided not to put the top on it during the winter, and to try and be a bit stricter about doing cold water dips each morning. And you know, one of the things that was my discomfort is I'll get up in the morning and I'll just do a cold water dip, and you know what, I haven't managed it. So the furthest I've got is breaking the ice on top of the pool and putting my hands in and going, fuck, that's cold. But even that is an uncomfortable experience. And that's what I really like about the guy's book, is that's still getting out your comfort zone. I realise I've been talking for an awfully long time, so as ever, no idea if this is any help or not, but it helps me, so thank you. And it is very nice being out on my walk, albeit in my very eclectic get-up. I'm going to go just to make sure Panda doesn't get into any scuffles with the dog that's out here too. Lots of love.